All right, this is something very different that I'm going to do, and let me know if you think that this is interesting for the show and whether this is instructive. As many of you know, and many people are mad about this, I don't talk about politics with viewers via email. I'm so busy doing the show that I can't respond to political questions via email or engage in that way. At this point, we get about 6,000 emails, comments, tweets, Facebook posts, and the like every single day. We would need multiple full-time people if the idea was to sort of like engage meaningfully with every comment. But every once in a while, if there's something that I think will be instructive, I will sort of jump in and get involved. And indeed, I received an email yesterday morning from an anti-vaccine individual spouting conspiracy theories, and I decided to engage. I decided to actually let's see where they are getting their information. How did they come to hold the beliefs that they have? And so I'm protecting her email address and last name, but I am going to go through a conversation I had via email with an anti-vaxxer named Amy. Now, Amy wrote to me yesterday morning with the subject, "A Concerned Viewer." And Amy said about vaccines, "Just curious how you could deceive others when it comes to the COVID and the vaccines. I'm well aware that you know it's all a scam and the so-called vaccines are causing deaths." Now, there's probably 5 things there to look at. The idea that I know that it's a scam. What? The virus or vaccination? The so-called vaccine refers to people who say these aren't actually vaccines. Causing deaths refers to people who believe it is the vaccine causing people to die rather than COVID itself. So there's a lot here, but let's get a big picture view of what she's saying. Amy goes on, "Is money that important to you that you have to go along with this?" Now, no, who would even pay me to say the vaccines, I really got a vaccine. Nobody paid me to do that. Nobody's paying me to say that it was great. I don't even know who would be willing to give me money to do that. Amy goes on, "People are starting to despise you." Well, people have despised me for a long time. That's not new. She's right about that, but that's not new. "And you don't have to believe me, but all traders involved in this scam will see a prison cell. It's already mentioned in a couple lawsuits I know of. So keep on with your nonsense and you will see." So I actually decided to write back to Amy. And I said, no one has died from the vaccine. We will not spread dangerous propaganda on our show. To which Amy wrote me back very quickly, "I have proof. I also have proof from CDC documents. We are being played. The fact that you don't even ask about the proof I have proves you are involved in this scam." So up until this point, the allegation is because I've not asked her for the proof, I'm part of the scam. Now, I actually want to see where she is getting these ideas. I want to see what documents, what websites, what is it that these anti-vax conspiracy folks are basing their ideas on. So I wrote back, "Okay, send it. Send me the stuff. I want to see the proof." And Amy wrote back first without even addressing the fact that I've asked for the information, saying, "You know exactly what's up. There are CDC documents admitting we're being played. Lawsuits filed saying we're being played. Mike Pompeo was asked one time if COVID was a hoax and he wouldn't answer." Now, that was for political reasons. That's not, Mike Pompeo is Secretary of State. He doesn't know anything about immunology or epidemiology. And she goes on to say, "As for the fake vax, why would Fauci get caught faking getting it? I have that proof too." This is a conspiracy that Dr. Fauci pretended to be vaccinated, but that he wasn't really injected. And then she finishes her email by saying, "There's all kinds of death reports and the list of proof goes on and on. You do know all this." Now, of course, I want the proof now. So I simply wrote back to Amy, "Please send me the documents so I can review them, lawsuits and documents." And now Amy says, slowing down her responses a little bit, taking a little more time between responses, Amy says, "I'll get the info together now. However, I feel like this is a trick because I know how you people work. You all want to know what info we have so you can scrub it from the internet." So this is interesting. First evidence of my malfeasance was that I didn't ask for the proof. Now it's suspicious that I am asking for the proof. And of course, the idea that I can just have things scrubbed from the internet we're now going many levels deep. Amy says, I'm not stupid and I don't trust anyone. There's no way you don't know this, especially doing what you do. While I'm getting the info, here is the name of one attorney dealing with a lawsuit, Reiner Rolmick. And a question still is, why wouldn't Mike Pompeo answer when asked if COVID was a hoax? Why would Dr. Fauci fake getting the so-called vaccine? There's no way you wouldn't know what's up. So I wrote back again. I'm remaining very calm. And I just said, it's no trick. I want to see the info. Amy writes back, I'm getting the info together. And like I said, Reiner Rolmick is one of the attorneys and he admits it's fraud. Again, we don't know what is fraud. Little more time goes by. Amy sends me another email. I just ran across this about the inventor of the tests they're using for COVID. He tells you it can't detect if you're sick. Notice how they remove the video because it's truth. Now, I don't know what video she's referring to, but the article she sent has nothing to do with proof of people dying from the vaccine. They aren't lawsuit documents. It's merely an article which says PCR tests can't tell you if you are actually ill with something. And we know that. And that has nothing to do with COVID. PCR tests are designed to tell you, is a particular signal present in a swab? You might physically have some virus particles in you and you might not actually be sick. That's not news of any kind. And so I wrote back at this point and I said, Amy, you said you had proof the vaccine is killing people. This is an article about testing. Can you send the articles you mentioned about vaccines as well as the lawsuits? And I never heard from Amy again. Now, there are certainly some anti-vax conspiracy theorists who would have things to send me. And if they did, I would evaluate the sources. In the past, they're very disreputable websites, natural news type sites and things like this. But this is a great example of the types of thinking we're dealing with, where me wanting the information or not wanting it, both are part of the conspiracy. Finding the videos she's referring to would be proof of the conspiracy. But if she can't find them, that's proof that someone removed them in order to cover up the conspiracy. And so I think the takeaway for me is, obviously, this took an hour out of my day. It's not plausible to do what this is a retail strategy to disabuse people of these notions. Now, because Amy ultimately couldn't find any of the things she said she was going to send me, did she change her views even? Probably not. What I did probably didn't even change her views. And this really goes to the difficulty in dealing with this type of conspiratorial thinking. We've done interviews with experts on conspiratorial thinking and conspiracism, and they pointed to the same thing. Let me know what else maybe we can learn from this, but certainly an illuminating moment in illuminating just how much of an uphill battle this is. And I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Twitter at @Pakman. I'm really excited that one of our sponsors today is Helix Sleep. I sleep on a Helix mattress at home. I absolutely love it. And that's why I reached out to them about sponsoring the David Pakman Show. Buying a mattress in the past was always a huge guessing game for me. I didn't know what I actually needed. I didn't know what I would like. But Helix has a sleep quiz on their website. You tell them your body type, your sleeping position, your back pain issues you might have, and their tool matched me with a mattress that is perfect for me. It's cool enough at night. It's the right firmness. I generally just do way better sleeping these days because of the mattress. Helix was awarded #1 best overall mattress for the last 2 years by both GQ and Wired magazine. It is well-deserved, I can tell you firsthand. Every Helix mattress comes with a 10-year warranty. You can try the mattress risk-free for 100 nights, and they will even come pick it up at your house if you don't love it, but I know you will. All of my viewers will get up to $200 off your order, and you'll get 2 super premium pillows for free when you go to the link right underneath this video.